Woo. Good morning, guys. Gosh, I tell you what, being almost a week away from that is just far too long. And I'm so happy to see all of you, all your beautiful faces, especially Jay. We're going to be coming out of Psalm 22 this morning. You guys don't have to turn there, but you can if you want to. I think all of you were here when Prophet Zach talked about feeling the depth of your grief, feeling the full depth of your emotions. And in this season, the Lord has been teaching me how to be in Him as Jesus was in the Father. You know, the prayer of John 17, His high priestly prayer of be in the Father as I'm in the Father, be in His love as I was in His love. And I was reading through Psalm 22 and looking at this exchange between David and God, fully knowing that his son would use these words on the cross. Because when Jesus is on the cross, he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? And he's quoting Psalm 22. And the Lord highlighted this exchange to me in a few ways. First off, that David does not hold back from God when expressing how he feels. Like, he kicks off verse 1, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me from the words of my groaning? Oh my God, I cry by day, but you do not answer, and by night I find no rest. And I believe it's so important that Prophet Zach is so right. Feeling the full depth of your emotions is so important, but it is also important to express those to the Lord. Like, one of the worst things you can do is finally plug into the depth of your emotions and then go in your room or in the quiet place and do absolutely nothing but sit inside of them. Yes. And that this morning I want to tell you that God is big enough for you to express your emotions in the deepest way possible and take it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And my second point, God does not discount David's expression. Like, he's on the cross when he quotes these back. And when David says this, when he says things like, I'm poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint, my mouth is so dry, my tongue is sticking to my jaw. David is figuratively feeling these things, while Jesus is actually feeling these things on the cross. Like, the spear is actually going into his side, water is coming out. His mouth is so dry, he can barely talk, and that's why he asked for the wine and vinegar off the sponge. And when David says these things, God never goes, well, David, let's calm down here. Okay, you're not actually feeling those things. I actually feel those things on the cross. Like, he never does that. He fully takes in what David is expressing to him, that this back and forth in their relationship, this authenticity is why I believe David was such a man after God's own heart, that his relationship was part of his worship of not keeping anything from the Lord, like not keeping any of his sadness or any of his grief, even any of his happiness in dancing before the ark. I believe these words are so important. I've been really struggling with my singleness, not in a sin way, but of like looking to God and being like, Lord, why are you keeping this thing from me? And almost like blaming God for being single, which is silly, but it's how I feel. Where I was in my room one day and I was luckily with the Lord and just like, Lord, you've grown me, you've matured me. I was thinking about doing my taxes the other day, which is ridiculous. And I'm like, why do all my friends, why do my peers, why do most of the people I go to church with and spend my time with get to enjoy the gift of marriage? And out of almost my foolishness, I'm like, Lord, what do you know about like marriage? What do you know about dating? What do you know about looking for somebody? And he just told me, like, I scoured the earth for Noah. The earth was like disgusting and terrible. Yet I was just looking for somebody who would love me if I revealed myself to them and loved them. I found Abraham in a pagan city. And I pulled him and I told him I'd make an entire nation out of him if he would just love me. I served an unfaithful wife for 435 years before I did anything about it. I had so much mercy on them. And the Lord just rocked me that he knows so much more about relationships, so much more about marriage, about being ready, about readying yourself, about readying a bride, so much more than I do. And that the depth of your grief, of your confusion, of your worry, it will always point you back to Jesus. And that is why you have to express it. That when David is expressing these things, without David's depth of expression, he never prophesies about Jesus. He would never say things like, my heart is turned to wax. And that looking at these words of David, it points you directly to the cross, directly to the sacrifice of Jesus, and directly to knowing that everything you're feeling, that not only Jesus felt, he had relatives die, he argued with his mom, he whipped people out of the temple, he was angry, he was sad.
Yes.
And that you don't have to hide these things, that you can give them to him, he feels them, and he paid for you to not sit in them.
Yeah.
Like Jesus, part of his payment, his purchasing of you, is that you do get to suffer, but you get to do it with him, and you never have to do it alone. And that's what the Lord has just been teaching me, is like sitting with him and abiding with him, but never hiding, never keeping something for myself, good or bad. I just want to invite you guys today, as we go into worship, to just not fake being ready.
Yeah.
Like don't pretend that you're ready to worship or you're ready to be with the Lord or ready to receive. Like if you take the moment, take the minute, take the 10 minutes to express to the Lord, I had this happen this week. I've been feeling this way. I've been feeling down. I've been feeling confused about what you're doing, because believe it or not, we have a God where you can express these things and he actually answers you.
Yes.
And is more than willing to come and be with you. And I think it's so important to strip back these things, these almost like scales from our eyes, to see him rightly and be with him rightly. Let's go pray.